good. Welcome to another episode of Around the Block with Jen, my beautiful black babes. Good to see you here on a Monday evening. Let's get into this. Yeah. You know what? I wasn't gonna touch this story because I am not into sports like that, and I'm not one of those women that fronts like I know about sports, right? There are two types of women. There are women that are into sports, and then a whole other demographic of women that pretend to be into sports because they want to appease men or seem interesting to men or be able to have conversations with men because men are very much into sports, the majority of them, right? So I guess it's smart for a woman to either be into sports or pretend she's into sports. That way she has something to talk about with her guy every now and then, right? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I am not hating. I'm just not a sports fan. I do like boxing. Okay. I like sports with immediate results, right? And with boxing, you get that. With football and basketball and baseball, you got to sit there a while. With boxing, you just never know, right? So I prefer boxing if I have to sit and watch any sports, okay? So welcome. You guys already know I'm on the block with Jen on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, on the block with Jen at Gmail. If you want to email me about a story you'd like me to do, a topic. It doesn't have to be about a celebrity. It could be a topic that you want to hear me discuss, or if you want to collab with me, come on up on a panel, or you want to debate me. I am here on the block with Jen at Gmail. If you want to support the show, por favore. Cash App is also on the block with Jen. So I'm on the block with Jen across all social media platforms and on the block with Jen and Cash App too. If you want to help mama keep the church lights on, we be having some church in here sometimes, okay? And it's also pinned to the top of my chat. All right, guys. So I don't know if you guys are tuckered out about the whole Nike sports, Kanye, Kyrie Irving, anti-Semitism. I don't know if you guys are all tuckered out. But Nike has severed ties officially with Kyrie Irving amidst the anti-Semitism scandal, which I find interesting because I didn't think, I definitely don't think Kyrie pulled a Kanye, but it was probably too slow an apology, right? He held on to it for too long, I guess, with his, I only posted a link, and it just goes back to people in charge. I don't care if they're black, white, yellow, blue, or green, people that are signing your checks, people that have made you millionaires and billionaires do have a say about what the fuck you do under their umbrella. And for anyone to think that's a race thing, I think you are a fucking buffoon, right? Because it's a race thing. They're attacking them because they're black. But I told you guys before, you have a home, you pay a mortgage, or you pay rent, or you buy groceries. You put clothes on the backs of your children, right? They are under your care. Had it not been for you, they probably wouldn't be alive, right? So it's similar to your child. After you do all of that and provide all of that and give them the best life ever, they walk into the kitchen while you're sitting there going over the bills, and they say, this is what you're going to do from now on. Or this is what I'm going to share. I'm going to share things about you that are not very good and paint you in a bad light. That's what I'm going to do, Mom. And I'm going to do it publicly. I'm going to pin it to my Twitter account, right? You will flip full. You will turn table over, dishes everywhere. That is what you would do. And sorry, similarly, these guys who have been made millionaires and billionaires by the system that's supposed to be so against them has a right to say, you can't say that about me and still be under my roof, right? You just can't say that about me and still be under my roof. And the thing is this, right? I totally get it. If Kanye and Kyrie were saying whatever it's called, whatever's regard, whether you say it's anti-Semitic or not, whatever the case may be, however you want to view it, because it's your prerogative. You could view it however you deem fit. But here is the thing. No matter what they said, it's all for naught. And that's my issue with it, that it's all for naught. You're rocking the boat, same as Kaepernick did, right? And it's all for naught because you're not willing, able, or equipped to start a race war. You're not willing, able, or capable of being armed or being militant. Kyrie Irving is not going to give up his basketball career to fight the man. He's not going to do it. Kanye West stupidly gave up his career, but he did all that for what? For what? It's all for naught. It's all for naught. Because neither one of those men was willing to give up their careers and go fight, shed blood, die, get locked up. This is not Nelson Mandela. Okay, this is not Albizu Campos. Look him up for you ignoramuses. He was Puerto Rican. This is not Martin Luther King. So these motherfuckers are basically spoiled celebrities falling on swords. And it's all for naught. It's all for naught. It's unnecessary conversation. You don't have to fucking post everything you think about people. We've been working corporate America and the entertainment business, some of us, for many years. And we don't have to say everything we think about people. Similarly, they don't say everything they think about us publicly. Every now and then one of them gets caught out there. But they just don't. We live in a world where people are not going to like you and you're not going to like them, but you still will have to work with them to make money. So Nike officially severed ties with Kyrie Irving. I guess after the investigation, it was like, it's too much. It's not necessary. Not only that, you athletes are on a conveyor belt, right? There's a new guy that could jump higher than you and run faster than you every fucking draft. Right? You guys are like cattle and you sign up to be cattle. It's not by force. It's not by force. Okay? Your parents wear jerseys and plan what college you're going to go to from your yay high. Okay? They put you in sports camps since you're yay high. They feed you and breed you, okay? Like you're fucking cattle. And I'm talking about before the draft. Your parents do this to you. The parents of the athletes are breeding them, picking schools, wearing their jerseys, hoping, wishing, and praying that they play for their favorite sports team. This is before the draft pick. This is before they become favorites in high school, in college. Parents breed them first, okay, to be athletes. Then the parents hand them over to the powers that be. Okay? This is how athletes happen. Parents breed them first and prepare them, spend lots of money on those football camps and those basketball camps. Then they hand them over to the draft. So let's not act like athletes are these wilting willies, these wilting willow. Oh my God, look at what the man is doing to me as I throw this ball and dunk this back. Look what the man is doing to me as I make these millions and buy this Louis Vuitton luggage. Look how he treated me, right? So Kyrie Irving lost money for what? For what? For a link to a movie? Think about that for a minute. Because I know a lot of people are like, you should be able to say what you want to say. We free. You should be able to say whatever. I mean, I'm sure there are white people that think a lot of shit about Kyrie Irving that work with him and don't tweet it. Right? So everybody that's out there with your regular fucking jobs, never gonna be close to 6 zeros in your account. You can talk all the shit you want. Let Kyrie up because you don't have millions of dollars on the line. You don't have a $1 million home on the line. So you guys could, backseat drive and armchair all you like. Right? Same thing with Kanye. Yeah, Kanye, tell him you don't have anything to lose on that level. Right? And the end of 2022 has become the year of fuck around and find out. And Kanye fucked around and found out. And Kyrie Irving fucked around and found out. Right? So, we can't say, oh, the white man, because they don't, Kyrie Irving could quit basketball if he doesn't like how he's being treated. Kanye West could quit the music business if he doesn't like the contracts. What is this, like volunteer bondage? Is that what's going on with these people now? It's volunteer. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's all for naught. Same as Kaepernick. Started a shitstorm. A shitstorm. Right? For Black Lives Matter, police brutality. And then what happened? What happened? He wanted to play football again. And people were boycotting football. Yeah. So many people I know boycotted football. I didn't have to boycott because I don't fucking watch football. So it's all the same to me. But someone, Kaepernick. Then he was running around on the field again, hoping, wishing, and praying, okay, that they let him suit up again and throw the cleats on. It's all for naught. Because the real power is, right, the majority of athletes in the NFL are Black. And the real power would be if all the Black athletes would be like, fuck y'all, we ain't suiting up, we ain't playing. It's so easy. Like, it's such little effort. They don't have to draw picket signs. They don't have to be outside. Oh, good. They don't have to do that. They don't have to bleed for it. They don't have to fight a war for it. They don't even have to hit anybody. They don't even have to take a knee. They don't even have to kneel on a field. All they would have to do is say, we're not suiting up for a whole season. And the NFL would crumble and fold. But they're not even willing to do that. So why are you falling on swords? Why are you dying on hills that nobody gives a fuck about? Did Kaepernick not being able to suit up, did it affect any of you watching football? Did it affect any of you watching football? Is the NFL still in order? Is everybody waiting for the Super Bowl? It's the same thing with Nike and Kyrie Irving. They severed ties with him. Is anybody going to stop buying Nike? Is anybody going to stop buying Adidas? I showed it. Hold on. I'm not going to stop buying Adidas. My favorite sneaker, actually. And I can't even ask you, is anybody going to stop buying Balenciaga? Because the majority of people can't afford that shit. So I'm not even going to ask you about Balenciaga. But is anybody going to stop buying Gap? All for naught. All for naught. Losing millions and billions of dollars for nothing. To be able to tell us that the Jewish people run everything. Because none of us knew that, by golly. None of us knew who ran the media. None of us knew who ran Hollywood. Thank you, Kanye. Oh my God. I've been wondering for decades who ran our media and who ran Hollywood, because I had not a clue. Thank you for freeing us, Kanye. Sorry you lost billions while freeing us, but thank you for telling us, Kanye, because we would have never known. Thanks, I guess. So on to drinking my protein and on to the next day. What did Kanye want us to do exactly with that information? And that's my thing. Like, what did Kyrie want us to do with the information in that movie? What did Kyrie want us to do with the information in that movie? And what did Kanye want us to do with that information? Seriously, legitimate question. Legitimate question. Throw it in the chat. I'm about to drop the link. Come on up on the panel and tell me. Legitimately, literally, what did Kyrie want us to do with that information? Did he want us to watch the movie? Because the only thing that came of it, if he wanted to promote the film to put money in the pocket of the creator who's Black, then I get it. Then yay, Kyrie, you supported a Black man. Other than that, what did Kyrie want us to? Did he want us to watch the film? Did he want us to have family dinner and watch it with our children? What did Kyrie want us to do? Did he want us to think the Holocaust wasn't real? What did Kyrie want exactly? What did he want? Was it just a brain fart like, oh, I watched the movie today? What did Kyrie want us to do? Why was he so hell-bent at those press conferences? What did he want exactly? And what did it mean to his life, to his family's life, to his wife's life, to his children's life, to our lives, and to basketball fans? What did he want? What did Kanye want? Throw it in the chat. What did Kanye want? Because I hear a lot of people saying, that's right, Kanye told the truth. And you know how I feel about the truth. I got it, you got it, they got it, he got it, she got it. Everybody got truth. You know how I feel about the truth. Everybody got truth. All of us. All of us. You go to the zoo, the fucking gorillas got truth. The lions got truth. Everybody got truth. Everybody got truth. He's telling us the truth. Okay, what did Kanye want us to do with that information? No one's answering me. I'm seeing a lot of debating online. I'm seeing people get blocked. I'm seeing idiots say all kinds of shit off the side of their neck. No one's telling me, what did Kanye want us to do with that information? Because as far as Black people being the real Jews, well, the fucking Israelites have been yelling that shit on every fucking ghetto street corner since I was a kid. So that's not a secret. Is it that Kanye didn't grow up in the hood or something and he never seen them on the corner? Because I've been seeing them my whole life. So I had a funny feeling Israelite, Jew had something to do with Black people. I wasn't sure what. Because they're just fucking yelling on corners. So you don't exactly want to stop and hear what the fuck they got to say. But you know, the cat's been out the bag for a very long time. So I just want to know, what was the goal? What was the end goal? Why did Kanye want us to know that? What? For what? Did he think this is going to make me more money? Did he think this is going to cement my Black card because Black people are going to think I'm really down with them? What was it for? Was it to increase his generational wealth for his children? What was it for? Was it for his wife to fall in love with him again? What was it for? Because I see a lot of cheering and co-signing, but now one motherfucker could tell me, what is the purpose of the truth, right? Because people tell the truth to get something. I'm telling you this truth because I want you to know X, Y, and Z. And now you, with this truth I'm giving you, right? You're going to take it and do something with it. So now any Black person that hasn't been under a rock, now they know they are the original Semites, according to Kanye and Nick Cannon and Kyrie. They're the ones. It was them to begin with, right? So let's say you didn't know that because you've never seen these crazy people yelling on the corners in their Aladdin costumes. Let's say you've never seen them yelling on the corner, right? Let's say you're new. So now you know. Okay, Semite, what are you going to do with that information? Throw it in the chat. Is it going to make you richer? Is it going to make you smarter, more capable of raising your children? Is it going to cut your grass on the weekend? Is it going to help you lose weight? Is it going to make you healthy? Now you know. Now Kanye has told you the truth. Now what? What comes next? What comes next? Don't tell me that's it. You better not tell me that's it. What comes next? Now that Kyrie and Kanye have given you all this truth, what are you going to do with it? Don't all answer at once. Let me tell you what you're going to do with it. Not a fucking thing. You're going to go to sleep tonight. You may wash your ass before. You may not. You're going to wake up tomorrow. And for those of you who have jobs, you're going to drag your ass to work. For those of you who have families, you're going to kiss them, hug them, say hi, have dinner with them, maybe. And then you're going to do it again the next day with this newfound truth that Kanye and Kyrie gave you. Because now you got this truth. What are you going to do with it? Ooh, the truth. What are you going to do with it? And now that Kyrie and Kanye have given you this truth about Jewish people, now what are they going to do with it? What are they going to do with it? Other than look at their bank accounts and be like, fuck, there was more money in there before. Oh, well, Kyrie's going to suit up, keep fucking playing. And Kanye's going to do what he does, whatever the fuck he's doing now, because that motherfucker's all over the place. Kanye's going to keep doing what he's doing. Getting sued, looking like a fucking buffoon and crazy person on podcasts, sitting across white people, by the way, on Jewish platforms. All for naught. All for naught. But, you know, I see a lot of co-signing and, yay, told it the truth. And no one has told me what you're going to do with that newfound truth. No one has told me. I see all this yelling. Yeah, we were the original. We can't be anti-Semitic. We're Semite. Okay, Semite. Now what? Now what? Crickets. Now what? Are you going to practice Judaism? Are you going to wear a little hat on top? What are you going to do? Now what? You're going to grow your curls. What are you going to do? No, seriously, like, what are you going to do? You're going to eat matzah balls? What are you going to do? Did you watch the movie on Amazon after Kyrie posted it? Do you feel enlightened? Do you feel smarter after watching the film? Maybe you do. Now what? What are you going to do? You going to let your children watch it? What are your children going to do with it? Worried about all the wrong fucking things. Per usual. Worried about all the wrong fucking things. Per usual. All for naught. I'm going to drop the link. Oh, Kirstie Alley died, for anyone who cares. She's the actress who claim to fame was Cheers, for anyone old enough to remember that show, Cheers. And then she did a couple movies after that. Comedic actress Kirstie Alley, if you care. She's dead, battling cancer. She's no longer with us. What's up, guys? I'm so happy to see y'all here. Oh, this topic tonight, Lord Almighty, Lord Almighty. And I dropped the link. If you want to come up and talk about anything I just said about the Kyrie thing and the Kanye thing, I am open. If not, I'm going to get into this Deion Sanders thing. And like I said, people, I wasn't going to talk about this because sports is not my fucking thing. And I'm not about to sit up here and pretend I know about sports. However, the story itself is not really about sports as it is a fucking mentality. Right? So the topic tonight is, are successful Black men obligated to the Black community? Because this went beyond sports. And once I saw it go beyond sports, I was like, okay, I could talk about that. I could definitely talk about that. So let me show you guys again. If you guys are too lazy to go to the thumbnail, this is the topic for tonight. Are successful Black men obligated to help others? Yes, I have seen both men and women call Deion Sanders everything but a child of God. Right? If you believe in God and shit like that. Like, they're just dragging this man, dragging him for filth. So I see my guys backstage. I'm going to bring them up so we could get into this. I will tell you what I think. And I'm sure the guys could be more detailed because, like I said, I don't fucking do sports, but I wanted to talk about the mentality. What's up, Harai? What's up? No, hey.
Hello.
Hi. Listen, I don't know if I'm starting a trend with myself, but I'm in my pajamas again.
The leopard print pajamas.
Yes, tops and bottoms. I told you, I do the matchy at home. I'm cute at home.
I see. I mean, that's some bougie shit. I was like, I thought you was just coming out from outside with that. Like,
I got
No.
my I got I got my dad pajamas on right now.
Oh my gosh. The flannels with the lint on it.
No, no, no. Erica shops for me, so it's got to be stylish.
Okay. All right. All right. What's up, world?
What's goody?
What's goody? I see Tristan in the chat. I don't know if Tristan's coming up later. You guys, first of all, welcome. Thank you for being here, supporting the show on the panel and in the chat, mi gente. This story, just what I mean. I thought it was just gonna be some, people are gonna miss him at JSU, and then they probably just sad about it. But the shit grew legs, like big hairy legs. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Some of the posts that I've seen, what they're saying about this man and how he was supposed to, how he's abandoning the Black youth at the HBCU, and how dare he, and he went for that white dollar and he sold people out, and he's a coon and he's a backstabber. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. This cannot be real. This cannot be the society that we're in right now, but it's real. It's real. People really feel like this. So before I get into what I think, please, who wants to go first on this? Before I say
let me go first.
Okay.
Now prime time, he's and see, that's why I'm glad you got me up here, man. I'm a threat out here. You know what I'm saying? It's whether it's sports, politics, sex, we could do it all. You know what I'm saying? But prime time, he's in my top 3 players of all time.
Oh, okay.
It'd be him, probably Barry Sanders and Randy Moss for me. But to speak on what happened, I'm kind of sad he left. You know what I'm saying? I thought he maybe should have stayed there a little bit longer, and maybe now he wasn't obligated to do nothing. Let me start by saying that. Okay. He didn't have to do nothing. He's not obligated to do nothing. I don't feel he had to do anything. Okay, I'm just saying, like, in my heart of hearts, I would have wanted him to stay there a little longer, just to kind of give them a little more of a push, and maybe kind of influence somebody else, maybe kind of influence other coaches to come down there and do what he did to turn that program around. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't believe he did it for the money. Now, because I followed this man for his entire career, I kind of understand from the outside looking in the type of gentleman he is. And I believe that he's just a person that is all about expanding. If he gets another opportunity, he's going to take that opportunity. I believe that they should have known that from the beginning. I think his end goal is to coach in the NFL. And I believe that in order to do that, I believe that he's gonna try to go on a level of he's going to try to go on a path where he tries to conquer different levels. Okay, so he got the HBCU level, he got that. Now he's going to go to Colorado. Now with going to Colorado, this is a team that was, I believe they were like 1-11 last year, and this is an actual D1 school that's in the Pac-12 with USC and UCLA, and so he's got his work cut out for him. The choice to go there, I don't know, but like I said, he wasn't going to be able to go to any of the major schools that like the LSUs and the Georgias, because they've got coaches that have already been there, already like long tenured coaches. So with him going to Colorado, I believe I think he can change the program around. It's going to be hard, though. It's going to definitely be hard. But like I said, I don't believe that anybody should be upset with him, because if you understand who he is, this is a guy who he played 2 sports. So you're not really going to tie him down to one thing. You've never been able to tie him down. You've never really been able to like tie him down to nothing. You know what I'm saying? This is a guy that played 2 sports. He was drafted by the Yankees before he even played in the NFL. This is a guy that played for I think 4 or 5 different teams in the NFL, played for 2-3 different teams in baseball. So it's not like this is a guy that is known for he's not a Kobe Bryant where he's a Laker for life, or he's gonna be there, he's gonna stick with one thing for an extended amount of time. So I believe that people should have known that, you know what I'm saying? And like
so really quickly, thank you for the super chat, Glenn. Glenn said, how about we do a show on all the fake content creators that hide and talk behind an avatar, as I have 3 men behind avatars here.
That's my face, though. That's not an avatar.
Yeah, I know. I'm just playing with y'all.
Yeah, but
you said something interesting, right? And what he gave them 3 years. He gave JSU 3 years.
Yep. Yeah, okay. 3 years.
You said something interesting, though. You said you don't think it was for the money. So $300K to $5 million. You don't think money was a factor?
No, because he's not. Nah, I don't think, because even the money that he got, he gave some of his salary back to the school.
Yeah, no.
If he was a man that was about money, he would have been pinching all them pennies. He would have took all that money. Nah, I don't believe because he's not hurting for money. I don't believe it was for the money. I believe it's for an overall goal I believe he wants to get to the NFL. And so I believe that he's going in the trajectory that I believe he thinks he needs to go on. Mm-hmm. Because I think he has to show it. I think if he goes to Colorado and does it, I believe the next stop will be either the NFL or a bigger program than Colorado.
Okay. So I'm gonna pass the mic. Haran, what say you? People are mad.
World,
they're mad. They big mad.
I mean, World pretty much summed up a lot of things. So I'm just keep it on the political end of things, the cultural end of things. First of all, no one's obligated to do a goddamn thing. Okay, outside of their own interests. Everybody operates outside of everybody operates towards their own interests. Everybody has their own agenda. Who's to say this wasn't a part of his plan overall? He did what he did. He accomplished what he needed to accomplish. Now it's time to move on. Black people don't own black people. Just because you were owned at some point in time in our existence here in America doesn't mean you don't own the space and the existence of another black person. Regardless of what they might have done for you and so on and so forth. He made a decision for himself, for his career. As World said, I also think that he has his eyes on the career of the NFL, which would be wonderful. To see primetime conquer a position in the NFL as a coach, that would be amazing. And win, that would be amazing. But anyway, be that as it may, overall, I was more so annoyed, but not shocked by the behavior.
Right.
Because, anytime, a black person has some kind of opportunity or has an opportunity to move and progress, the black conglomerate tries to guilt the person into not progressing. And the history behind, HBCUs, it's a funny thing. I believe the first HBCU was black owned. I think it was in Xenia, Ohio. But if I'm not mistaken, a number of HBCUs are not currently black owned. Or also, in the earlier days, there were a lot of white faces in HBCUs. So the history behind, the historically black colleges, it's a funny one. It's a lot of layers attached to it that people need to really sit down and study. But overall, again, as I pass the mic, I just overall do not feel that he is obligated to give his career and his life to not only the people of the school, but to black people. Like, you don't own anyone's career, man. You don't own anyone's career. Those people have a right to say, hey, I'm going to go in this direction. It serves me and my situation and what I want. And that's it. you know, and I'm just overall tired of the culture insisting that you do not progress without the culture, without the green light of the culture. Like we got to check in with the culture to see when it's okay for us to progress and move forward. Man, shit. And even if it was for the money, so what? You know, no, he's not hurting for money. He's definitely not hurting for money. But even if he did it for the dollars, so what, man? You know, Prime Time been doing him for decades, man. So you know, he gonna always do him. I pass the mic.
Okay. And let me add this real quick.
Hold on, Will. Thank you for the super chat, Jabari Bryan. I know you can't stay, but he says Deion put their program on the map. He generated millions of dollars for their program.
Absolutely.
He did more than most coaches have done for their program, especially on that level. And then he said it's for the money as well. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if it wasn't for money, he'd be teaching little ghetto kids with no money somewhere out in the corner somewhere. Right. It's his job. It's for the money as well. I'm sure he loves football, but $5 million.
Yeah, nah, I think he's doing it to get to the NFL. But what I was gonna say is real quick before you pass it to No Saint. Just to crush that point of not helping young black men, we still gotta recognize and realize that college football is still 70 to 75% black. So it doesn't matter where he coaches at, he's still gonna have the opportunity to pour into and possibly impact the lives of young black men, regardless of where he goes, because it's the majority in the sport. So, all right, now I'll leave it there.
Okay, so World Saint, before you speak, I do want to go back to that. Like when someone says, well, he'll still be able to coach and help young black men, why is that his fucking job? That's the issue I have.
I'm not saying that's his job. That's what he likes to do, though.
I'm not saying okay. In general, that for the topic tonight. Why, again, the word obligation, when someone says, well, you know, he's turning, and there's, you know, just some posts that I've seen on my Facebook while I was scrolling, where I was like, wait, let's talk about this, because are you people serious? Like, y'all are serious. I'm seeing people arguing like, oh, he had enough money. He didn't need no more money. How much money do you need exactly to survive? They're saying he's sold out. The white man bought him. That's why the black community can't get nowhere, because as soon as a white man flashes money, a lot of shit is being said. He's letting the young black men down. And this isn't like, this is a sport. Let's be clear. This isn't like, you know what I mean? It's like he's letting them down. Like now they're all going to die because they don't have kidneys. This is a sport at the end of the day. I know sports is like religion. I dare I not speak against it, but it's a sport. It's a sport. It's not life or death. And I think that a lot of emphasis is put on these kids to make it, because it's always that one athlete that lifts up that whole poor family. And you know it, 9 times out of 10, the athlete is a guy that runs off, makes the millions, and he's helping mama and grandmama and auntie and daddy and sis, you know, and brother and, you know, the cousins, right? So there's a lot of emphasis on this kid to make it. And I just think that the anger is misdirected. Like, in my opinion, they're putting a lot on this man as if he's not supposed to live his own life and have his own goals, whether it's the NFL or not. It's like, how dare you have your own goal when I want my son to play in the NFL? It sounds ludicrous. But I'll pass the mic to No Saint.
Okay, hey, yeah, I got it's so just like we say, you know, women are not a monolith. I mean, black people obviously are not a monolith, but there are different camps. And so this is the kind of things I've noted. Some people wanted him to stay because they thought that somehow Deion could take the HBCU and topple the NCAA or topple the Power 5 conference and somehow attract because like World said, the athletes are majority black people. They thought they somehow could overturn the system, and that wasn't going to happen. He can, like, Deion can do that in a small, like, he brought some really good players to Jackson State, some top flight players, right? A few, but the problem is that they had a time where back in the segregation days where you had all white football teams, and all in the HBCUs had their had all the other colleges had all black teams. But the problem today is now you have NIL deals, you have boosters that are fans of certain teams that are going to put money into those facilities. Deion, it was in no way going to be able to do that there. So I think it was money. Obviously, 5 million versus 300,000 is a lot. Okay, I'm not saying that's all it was for. It was for money. It was for the next level challenge. You're not going to get. I'll give you an example. We put LSU. That's my team. I'm a fan of down here, Louisiana State. They didn't have the best year. They had a decent year, but they were supposed to be down this year. They played Southern. It was over in the first quarter. They had like 35. LSU had 35 points, I think, within the first quarter. That's the difference in talent we're talking about. And so I think some of the black people that are upset thought that somehow Deion was going to turn that around. Some people were fans of Jackson State, and to call him to try to lock him into a university is just unrealistic, and that's unfair. Like you're saying, he's got goals. You don't know what his goals or ambitions. If it's to go to the NFL, he's going to the Colorado State, who is a 1-12 team. Now, I know World said something about USC and UCLA, but they're moving to the Big Ten, so they'll no longer be in the Pac-12. But it might just be that, like, he did all he could do at that university. Like someone said, he put them on the map. They had a great season. He turned around, showed that he could turn a team around, and I think he's going for the next step. It happens all the time in other colleges that aren't the major colleges, right? In football, like for instance, down here in New Orleans, we have Tulane. They had a great season this year, first time in probably 30 years they had a great season. Guess what? That coach is probably leaving because that's not the goal isn't to stay at Tulane because you turn Tulane around. The goal is to get to the next level, to be that next level coach at the top colleges and then maybe into the NFL. Not all people want to go to the NFL. But yeah, that's kind of my take on it.
Jabari says he has stated that he wants to coach at his alma mater. This isn't a huge secret. The response to his leaving is embarrassing. This dude did what somebody got to mute their mic. Jabari said the dude did what coaches do. Every college coach moves on to a bigger and better opportunity. The ones that stay are usually at their alma mater. And Jay Bro says that's what it is. He wants to get his boys into the NFL. I think that's his end goal. I was curious about him, and this is just me scrolling by posts, and people were saying how he's being selfish and he's doing it for the money. So I was like, I like typing in celebrity when there's a lot of controversy around celebrity charity, right? Put the person's name in and charity, right? I've done it with Monique Crickets, by the way. Crickets. I love us for real. Crickets. She has no charity work, anything like that. No type of portfolio, no type of philanthropy, nothing. But Deion Sanders has a lot. Like a lot. I mean, I wrote it down on the Prime 5 and millions of dollars with $21 million to fight poverty with the Koch brothers. And, he gave away half of his salary to finish building a facility at JSU. And, he said he got receipts. So he's not just talking. He can prove that he gave this money up. $25,000 in grants to 12 different nonprofits. Like, he's out there, and I'm not pocket watching. I'm just like, okay, who is this guy? Because again, I don't know sports, so I do surface research, but it seems to me like he's a very, very generous human being, and he doesn't have to be. And I know there are people who are cynical, and they're like, well, rich people have to give their money away because of tax. I get it. I'm still saying that this man appears to me to be a very generous human being. So my question is, gentlemen, when the fuck is enough for the Black community? And I really want to know, is the Black community just a phrase at this point? What the fuck is a Black community? Because some people say it exists, some people say it don't. We're not a monolith. But what would they like for this man to do? Like, what would be enough? And would it ever be enough?
That's the thing. There is a black community, but with this social media thing, it doesn't matter what you do. It'll never be enough. It'll never be enough for some people. Okay, some people he could have stayed at JSU. And then some people would have said, well, why are you staying there? Why don't you go to the next level and see what you could do? You know what I'm saying? So I believe it's always going to be something no matter what. And it's mainly because of the internet.
I don't think it's the internet. I don't think it's the internet. I think we need to really talk about the elephant in the room and with what we don't acknowledge. Let me tell you something. This is bigger than sports. This is bigger than entertainment. This is bigger than all that shit. Every high performing black person who becomes successful is bedridden with the curse of taking care of the community, either on a micro or a macro level. They are burdened with that. I know a bunch of black people who've gone to college, made something of themselves, come out of they had poor beginnings, and because they've actually gone out of, out there and made something for themselves and made some high salaries, they are taking care of themselves, their families, and their siblings and their mothers. I've seen it. We're talking about we constantly keep behaving as if, oh, this only happens to celebrities. No, bullshit. This happens to every black person who got a little bit more butter to put on their bread than their siblings or their friends or anyone in the community. They are expected, not asked, not even coerced. They are expected to take care of everyone in the fucking community. Any high performing black person. And either it'll be on a micro level, being your family, your nuclear family, your extended family, or a macro level, be it as we say right here, with Primetime, with Jay-Z, with anybody else who is black and has money. I'm not going to sit here and say that white people don't go through this shit. Not really. I'm not going to sit here and say that because I actually know white people personally who've grown up dirt poor and they've been expected to take care of their siblings and their families. You know what I mean? And so on and so forth. So it's a lot. We can't blame the internet. This shit has been happening for generations.
It's been happening, but I do blame the internet because the internet is what magnifies it. The internet
magnifies everything.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Without the internet, it would only be a few. It would still be being talked about, but it wouldn't be as huge where we can literally go on we can literally go on social media and see people bigging them up, see people saluting them, and then see people hating on them, see people saying, we can literally see every point of view of what everybody's saying. And that's because of the introduction of the internet. Now, I do agree with what you're saying, Haran, that's a big deal too. That's a big deal. But like I said, Jen, you don't really watch football. Haran, maybe you and No Saint can attest to this. They got to realize that who they're talking about. Remember when he went to the Niners? They had just won a Super Bowl. And they were trying to get him to stay there. He left the very next year and went to the Cowboys. They just won the Super Bowl. And they were trying to re-sign him. He said, nah, I'm going on to the next opportunity. And left the very next year to another team.
And that's why I said Primetime always does him, man.
And that's what I'm saying. So even in the black community with people crying and all this, you got people like Primetime, you got people like Jay-Z who's not going to give a fuck what you talking about. They're going to do what the fuck they want to do. They're going to give their money if they want to, but you're not going to force them to do nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so Jen, just to answer that question, even with all this whining, you're not going to force nobody, especially nobody like Primetime, to do nothing that they don't want to do. And if you don't see that by now, they're pretty much wasting their time. You know what I'm saying? You're wasting your time and you're wasting your breath. So this goes for the people that expect him to stay at CU for years and years and years. What's going to happen once he leaves there? Because he's going to leave there.
Let me ask this, because it's really the vitriol for me. It's not, I understand like, oh, fuck, I really wanted him to stay here and I was ready to get the jersey again. But I get that, right? It's like, oh, I mean, I'm in entertainment. So if I have my favorite show and it has an ensemble cast and they switch one of the actors, I don't like it either. I'm like, oh, I like the other actor better playing such and such. So I get it. I get being attached to something. But let's go a little deeper into, you said there is a Black community. And I understand, Haran, what you said, even on the lowest level, if you're just the one in the family that went to college and became the attorney, everybody's looking for you to be the way, right? That's understandable, right? Because you're related to these people, you share DNA. So it's like, oh, you're not going to help your mother, right? But on the grand scale, when you talk about one man or one woman is obligated, right? Whether people think obligated or forced or not, there's an obligation there because the parroting is, oh, he's letting down all those Black kids at that school. Now he's obligated to his children, right? Up to a certain age. Up to a certain age. But they're speaking as if he's obligated to all those children that have parents. So what is this quote unquote Black community, and why is there such a pressure for anyone that makes it out to give back to the ghetto neighborhood, to give back to the poor? Why is there so much pressure on Black men specifically? Because yeah, there's pressure put on white men, Asian men, Latin men. Never, ever heard someone say, oh, he ain't doing that for the Latin community, or he ain't doing that for the white community. What is the fucking community, and why is there such a fucking obligation? It's insane to me.
I mean, like Haran said, I've heard it with all races, but with Black people, it seems to be worse. They take it a step further to where, like you said, it becomes vitriolic. It becomes not like you said. Like you said, when your favorite show ends, like, damn, it's fucked up. I wish that show would have kept going, but it's all good. You know what I'm saying? We move on to the next. That's how I was about the situation. Now I think you're speaking about the people who are like, man, fuck him. He's a sellout. He's a coon. He's letting all these kids down. He's stopping. He's fucking up the Black community. He could have did so much more for these kids over here. And I want to say it again. I just believe that wherever he's going to go, he's going to help the kids there. I do believe, and that's probably why it may hurt them so much, is because I believe he treats these kids more than football players. I believe he teaches them better ways of being men. I believe he teaches. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Yeah, so I can understand maybe why they could be mad and hurt behind him taking that ray of light and him teaching, but you can't put, that's too much pressure to put on him. You know what I'm saying? That's way too much pressure to put on him. You know what I'm saying? So
here's the thing. When it happens in other cultures and races, it's usually targeted to immediate family, your mother, your brother, your sister, whatever. It is not on the grand scale of community. No one is telling Jennifer Lopez, why aren't you helping the Puerto Ricans? And we don't think like that. We don't give a fuck, right? Same thing with white people. It is immediate. If no saint gets, if he gets rich tomorrow, I'm sure his immediate family member is going to be like, you're going to give us some money. But no one is going to be telling no saint, you better come back and help the white trailer trash and Method. You better come back and say, that's what I'm talking about. Why is there such a pressure? But I am curious about this comment because I find it interesting. Thank you so much for the super chat, Fahim Jackson. Fahim Jackson says, taking care of the community is actually a new thing. Prior to the end of Jim Crow, Black people carried our weight. We assisted each other, but taking care of the hood is a welfare mentality. Shots fired.
Well, I like to speak on that. Thanks to and it's funny about the welfare in the community, because statistically speaking, back then, I believe there was a time when more white people were actually on welfare than Blacks. But anyway,
they still are. They still are.
Okay, all right. So I haven't checked the numbers, but okay, makes sense. But out the grease of that. The problem is that I've often spoken to you about this, Jim. We've often spoken behind the scenes about that. Our community is conditioned to be dependent, and when you're conditioned to be dependent, you're constantly looking for a savior. You're constantly looking for a savior, and there's this strange there's a number of layers to this. There's Black suffering seen as a collective experience.
Oh, that's deep.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? There's, you know what I mean? Someone has to be Neo, you know what I mean, and free us. And there's also this case of ownership, as if you own someone else, as if you own higher, you know what I mean, higher performing Black people, as if you own their agenda, as if their agenda and their politics don't align with yours.
And we see that a lot. Portrayal. Let me throw this in there. We see that a lot, and then you could continue, but we see that a lot even in jest. Even in jest, yes. It's like, we'll trade this one for that one. Well,
yeah, exactly.
As exactly. If they belong to, it's very interesting, actually.
And the other thing, the last thing that really, you know what I mean, that I think is the core of it all, a lot of Black folks got a real bad case of FOMO when they see somebody else become successful, where it's like, okay, this person is about to become successful, this person is about to fly, rather than the immediate response being, okay, I'm happy for this person, or I'm inspired by this person, I need to go get mine. Right. Immediately, motherfuckers are like, well, what the fuck he doing for me? Why he ain't coming back to the hood? Why he ain't giving me? Like, for instance, I see the first thing you see a lot of times in our community, all right? If you got a high paying job, right? Mm-hmm. If you got a high paying job and you looking like your shit is tight, blah, 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 so on and so forth, and they catch you in the community living high, what's the first thing they say? Yo, they hiring at your job? This motherfucker probably ain't qualified for that gig no ways. Okay. Or you know what I mean? But he asking you if they hiring at your firm. Right. Look at this ain't McDonald's, this ain't, you know what I mean, Roy Rogers. I work at a law firm. You know what I mean? Like, this is
that's funny.
Or it's like part of this is hate. It's jealousy, envy, and hate.
Of course.
Because Haran also if they see you coming through the hood and you drip down, what they say, I'm coming to get that. They rob you. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So this is part of this hate that I believe this is attached to this hate that's dealing with Deion too. I believe that's connected somehow.
Of course,
those feelings are connected. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, it's hate and jealousy. Because first of all, look, man, everybody hate capitalism until the lottery number is $1 billion. You know what I mean? We all want to eat the rich until we get a chance at being rich.
Right.
Okay? So you know, people, I just let people talk. But at the end of the day, I mean, I was equally as shocked as everyone on here when I saw that the story just grew legs. I saw his his decision. I was like, oh man, prime time, you know, me moving up, man, great. Come back like a day later, I'm like, what the fuck is these motherfuckers talking about?
Yeah, me too. And I'm sitting like,
this ain't even that big deal. This ain't even that big of a deal.
And I'm hearing some of the sports commentators, and I'm like, they should know more. They should, like, the outside people looking in, like people that just started. And this is who I believe is the most upset are the people that just started watching JSU because he was there. And they just had this whole kind of. It was like it was a train that was hot for the moment. I believe those are the most people because they don't really understand. The people that have been commentating on sports, they should know that this man is gonna keep moving on. You can't pigeonhole him to one sport. You can't pigeonhole him to one team. He's gonna keep moving on. He's gonna keep moving up. He's gonna keep.
You know what's real crazy about it? This story had more legs than the story about that dude and that white woman actually committing and cheating on their spouses. You know what I mean? That Good Morning
Oh
America.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it did,
this
yeah.
shit transformed into like within
Because
a
that one was getting a
day.
little. That one was getting a
It was
little
getting
track.
up
Then
there.
this shit
It
took
was.
it
He was getting
over.
some traction.
They
Yeah,
got
he was
fired,
getting some
actually.
traction.
They got
They
fired. I
what?
don't know why, but they got
I
fired.
I
didn't. Did they
mean, yeah,
get fired? I didn't think they
yeah, they
got
got
fired.
fired. They got
Yeah,
fired. They got fired.
they got
They got
fired.
fired.
Why? When they both was divorced.
Oh, excuse me. They got what was the PR term?
They
Suspended
resigned.
indefinitely. They resigned. You know what the PR shit is. They got
Right.
fired.
You
They
never
got fucking
see them
fired.
there tomorrow.
You
And
ain't
so
gonna
many
see
were.
them
Yeah. Okay.
tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You won't see.
Okay.
You ain't gonna see them in January either.
Damn,
So
and that's fucked up though, because I
it is
thought they
what
were
it is.
both divorced. That's another show for another time. But I thought they were both divorced.
I mean, even if they weren't, I'm like, what does that have to? But anyway, again, you're right. That's a show for.
Another story
Another
entirely.
story,
But the
yeah.
point I'm, but
Because
the
we'll
point
go
here I'm
down the
gonna make
road,
is,
and next thing you
oh
know,
yeah,
this show will turn into that.
Right.
you know what I
All right.
mean. But the point of that is,
Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat break. Thank you for the super chat, Jabari. Jabari says, damn it, Jen, you and these damn interesting topics. I'm really leaving this time laughing a lot. By the way, it's not about kids. It's about them. The man is allowed to fulfill his dream. I concur.
Absolutely.
Joanna says, no, they are not responsible to help the so-called community. Everybody is responsible for themselves.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does with Colorado though moving forward, because this is a team that's like I think No Saint said it, when you like Jackson State, like this ain't no Jackson State, so like this is gonna be like some heavy competition. Mm-hmm. So like I'm excited to see what he does with this, and this is a team that was, y'all remember this team was 1-11 this year. So we're going to see. It was 1-11 this past year. So, like, I want to see what he does next year as far as that. I want to see if he can actually turn that program around, because he was even walking through. It's like night and day. He was even walking through the facilities, and it was like he was looking like Will Smith when he came to Bel Air. You know what I'm saying? From Philly. From Philly, seriously, because they got a state-of-the-art type of facility compared to where Jackson State, he had to put his bread up into that, and it still ain't nothing like CU. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's crazy to see what he does with it though.
So yeah. Let's go deeper. Welcome, Brother Ish, to the panel. I do want to pass the mic to No Saint because he's been quiet. No Saint, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just want to add a few things. Like, I know he's bringing some players from Jackson State that he recruited to Colorado. I think his son. But when people say, well, he's trying to get his son in the NFL is going to find you no matter where. I mean, they found Josh Allen at Wyoming or North Dakota, I think it was, a small time. They're going to find you no matter where. They
found Steve McNair at a black college.
Yeah, so, I mean, they'll find you. But, yeah, the difference, I think it was World was saying, the difference between facilities. I mean, you're talking about, and Jen, I know since you don't follow sports, these college campuses that are like top notch, the one, I mean, they're generate. First of all, the sport generates billions, right, for all these colleges, and the facilities that are in these colleges that are considered the premier colleges to go to for football. And we're not talking education, just football. Are rival pro facilities, and the coaches you can get. That's the difference. So I think the difference is you get better coaching when you go to these colleges. Jackson State can only do so much. They don't generate that kind of money. So and so I think when people get upset, it's almost like when I'm a fan of a few teams, and I see a player, he's from New Orleans, like let's say Arch Manning, who's going to be he's going to Texas. I get disappointed because he didn't go to LSU, right? I think that's how some people feel that are, fans of the HBCU, and especially since it's all black, and then Deion Sanders, he's a black guy. They get disappointed when he steps away. Well, why couldn't you stay in my, you're from the black community. Why couldn't you stay? Like for me, it's like, man, Arch Manning, come on, man. You're from New Orleans. Why didn't you go to LSU when he went to Texas? I think that's some of the disappointment too.
Brother Ish, late. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, daddy duty. So
For sure, for sure. What you got on this? Before you speak, Brother Ish, I wanted to get into, I know World said there is a Black community. I've spoken to people who say there's no such thing. Joanna's like, there's no such thing. But Joanna's not only the only one. I've heard other people say that there's like this imaginary Black community that must be helped from the trenches whenever you make it. I also think that contributes to a lot of the death that we've seen from some of our beloved rappers. I'm sorry, I was a big fan of Nipsey and a big fan of Pop Smoke. There's this pressure, like Karan was talking about. Even if they don't speak about it, I think there is this pressure of I gotta go back and help the others, though the others have all the opportunity in the same 24 hours that Pop Smoke and Nipsey and 50 Cent and everybody has, right? But there's like this drive to go back and help the others as if they're runaway slaves in a way. Like we can't lead them back there by itself, right? I find it interesting. What do you think that pull is? What do you think? Is it guilt? Is it generational trauma? Why do these men feel compelled to go back and rescue people who, quite frankly, in 2022 can rescue their fucking selves? Is there a quote unquote Black community? And what do you think that pull is to go back to that quote unquote Black community? And it doesn't fare well for the people that go back, by the way, but I digress. Who wants to take it? Brother Ish, if you want to speak on it since you just got in.
I want to hear what Brother Ish says about the Deion situation too.
Okay.
So I am late, so I didn't hear the entire talk. I did hear a portion about the Deion dynamic. So I'll just add to that. He still has to feed his family, so he has a responsibility to that, those set of circumstances, and there may be opportunities that yield him greater good. It is a great inspirational point to have him at a historically Black college, and the opportunities that he created for that institution, where from what I heard from Charlemagne, that they were able to get certain Under Armour deals for the the uniforms and different things that he brought to the table. So he I believe maybe he did all that he felt like he could do or contribute at that time, and now there's another opportunity for a trajectory for him to move up into the world of coaching, and ultimately maybe going on into being an NFL coach. So and proving that he can function in another landscape, maybe how it moved. Now it doesn't stop him from not knowing his contractual agreement, still supporting the historically Black college. Jackson, was it Jackson State? I'm not a sports cat, so I'm a little off sometimes when it comes to this. But that aspect, I don't think that he was being a traitor. I think he yielded his celebrity and all the things that he could to that school and that institution, and now he's moving on to another opportunity. I don't think that he did anything in relationship to selling out. I mean, I know it may be a disappointment to the institution and some of the student body, but there are others, and it shows that you can be influential and you can go in there and participate. That it's not a bad thing to come to function in the HBCU. In relationship to the pull to go back into the community, many people don't want to be isolated in their environment when they leave their community. They want to share in the fruits of their opportunities, and they want to share in being able to see, to come back and with those who they may have grew up with, or that they've had some sort of youthful endeavors or whatsoever, to say, hey man, Paris is dope, you should come roll with me, and just sharing that experience. And I've heard that a lot from many rappers who their whole perspective on life and the world changed when they started to travel. So to want to share that with people that you may have grown up with or that you identify with is natural, and the pull to come back and then also contribute, because maybe even though it might have been a struggle or hard times, you always want to come back and be the Robin Hood character that comes in and delivers, the turkeys on Thanksgiving, or giving the gifts during, the holidays and those type of things, and bring back, some of the wealth and opportunities that you've gotten, and say, hey, I'm a child of this community and I still love it, but I don't, I've moved on, but I want to help. And that's just natural. I think it's indicative. I think even Jen, if you made $1 billion.
Don't put me in it. Don't put me in it. Let's just stay on topic. But you can speak on what you would do with $1 billion, but don't put me in.
So, so if someone, any of us, if we had the opportunity to make $1 billion, we could find one situation where we say, hey, I want to give this kid an opportunity to get a scholarship to go to this school if they, they did the work, or, to help a family that you saw that, while you were living in the community, you say, you know what, this might be nice if I did this for them. So there's always that thought process that comes around, or just, to say, hey, this beauty salon, they did all my hair and they didn't charge me a couple of times when I was broke. I want to come in and give you all a makeover. There's things that, people want to do for, the where they came from. So that pull is natural. That's all I have to say.
That's understandable. I'm just I'm more, before I pass the mic to Joanna, I'm more on I may be wrong, people may hate it, but I'm more on the Oprah tip, right? Where it's like, where she helps people outside of the country that I'm talking about, they don't even have water, right? They don't have running water. So me in that situation, that's where you'd see me in Africa somewhere, right? You'd see me in Vieques, Puerto Rico, where people really, really don't have the opportunity to have even the most basic luxuries like running water. My drive isn't to, let me go back to the hood and help all of it. My drive is, there are children who run around barefoot playing in mud pies because they've never seen a toy in their life. So that's what I'm drawn to. That's why I say don't put me in it, because I'm a whole different animal. Before I pass the mic to Joanna, I did want to read these two things. So these are real comments on Facebook on some major blogs regarding Deion Sanders. Someone said, there's an old saying among Black folks, some of us have been conditioned to think that the white man's water is colder than ours. Maybe when it comes to college football, according to Deion Sanders, it is true. Then there's another comment that says, Coach Prime is leaving the best Black college team for a doormat program at a predominantly white college. Why is that? So these are the type of things that are actually being said. Like, they're treating this guy like he left the plantation for the big house, and he's not even looking back. But I want to pass the mic to Joanna. Joanna, how are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for the conversation.
Hello.
I call this the Harriet Tubman syndrome. Have you ever heard of that, Jen? The Harriet Tubman syndrome?
No, but you're going to tell us.
Well, I just came up with it 2 seconds ago listening to Haran.
Oh.
Yeah, I just coined it. Harriet Tubman, if you believe that she existed or not, that's another conversation. But Harriet Tubman was not obligated to go back and help free slaves. The thumbnail is, are successful Black men obligated? Mm-hmm. Brother Haran, you spent 3-4 minutes talking about how nice it would be if we would help others in the so-called Black community. That's not the conversation, though. I hate when we get caught up in the minutia and the conversation gets derailed and diverted, detoured into these other conversations. Are they obligated, Brother Haran? No, they're not obligated. If Harriet Tubman existed, was she obligated to go back and help? No. She was not obligated. She did that out of her own spirit, out of her own will, out of her own sense of purpose. But that's not obligation. So stay on topic. Can we at least stay on topic? I give
Joanna,
out
did you
free
not?
food. I give out. Please don't interrupt. I didn't interrupt when you all were speaking, and I've been speaking. I've been listening for a long time. I give out free food. I'm not obligated to do it. That's the conversation. That's the question she asked. Are we obligated? I'm not obligated to do shit. I do it because it's in my heart. I do it because I feel a sense of goodwill towards that. I do it in hopes that maybe someone will pass that forward, but I'm not obligated to do it. So let's stay on task. Is Deion Sanders obligated to the school he left to go somewhere else? No. We're free. This is America. We're free has free will. That's what it's all about. You're free to make money. And what you do with your money is your business, and stop counting other people's pockets. Thank you. And I don't need a whole lot of time to say that.
I'd just like to say something. Did anyone hear me when I said that Deion wasn't obligated to do a damn thing?
Yeah, we all said that from the beginning. We all said he
So
wasn't obligated
what
or.
are you talking about,
Yeah, we
Joanna?
all said that.
I was speaking to
What are
Brother
you?
Ish. Haran,
No,
you're
you
right.
said me.
Oh, you said
I,
Haran though. That's
You
why I
said
was like, Haran
Haran.
didn't say that. That was Brother
I
Ish.
was I was speaking to Brother Ish.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you
Brother
chose the
Brother
wrong.
Ish was the last person who spoke before me, and he
Okay.
kept saying how nice it would be if we go back and da 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 da.
Okay.
Da. I was speaking to him
Oh,
alone.
Oh,
I used
Yeah,
his
but I think
name.
still Brother Ish was saying that you're not obligated. I
He
think
said it was.
we've all made it clear that you're
and
not obligated.
he's Brother Ish is here. He could speak for himself. I thought you were talking to Haran though, Joanna. I was like,
If
Yeah,
I
I thought I
I
misspoke
thought
heard
and
you
your.
said
I
said
heard.
if
me.
Yeah,
She
I
said
heard
Haran.
Haran.
if I
Yeah.
But
misspoke and said Haran, I meant Brother Ish. But I'll listen to the playback because I'm almost certain I said Brother Ish.
No, you said Brother Haran.
yeah, you said Haran. That's why I
You
was
said
like, what?
Haran. Yeah, yeah. So
Brother Ish, go ahead. You can respond since the message was for you.
right. So with that, no, I don't believe that we're obligated. I think that many are called and few are chosen. So if your spirit is chosen you to be responsible and accountable to the community that you come from, that's what I was speaking on. So no, in relationship to that, no, they're not obligated to help the Black community. I was stating the spirit as to why they go back, and now I was responding to Jen's statement earlier in relationship to what was the driving force for people to go back.
What do you mean by many are called? Who's calling them?
Well, called, I mean compelled. Many are compelled. There's not a specific individual that's calling them, but there's an outcry of from the masses of people of help, support, brother, can you spare a dime, that kind of situation. So many are called in that dynamic is what I'm saying, and few are chosen in internally where they feel compelled to, I've got to do something about this. I feel I need to sacrifice whatever I need to sacrifice to participate in making some sort of effective change to the community that I live in or that I'm from.
So let's explore that for a second. You said there's this collective outcry. Why do you think that is? Why is there a collective outcry? And why do you think it only happens in the quote unquote Black community? Why is this collective outcry where a large demographic of a people have this outcry, like help us, even though they're not in a third world country? Like I understand.
Well, no, I don't think it's exclusive to the Black community. I think that when I'm utilizing that term, I'm talking about just there's a need that is out there that is obvious, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm not. It's not exclusive because the American Indians are in a very blighted situation. There are Asian Americans that are in blighted situations. There are Asians around the world that are in difficult situations. There's South Americans. So it's just if you're compelled to help animals, water trees, whatever it is, what I mean. That's what I'm talking about.
So So you think that Yao Ming, when when he made the NBA, you think collectively the Asian community, like in Chinatown, was like, he better come back to the community and help us here? Because you said it's not exclusive to the Black
Oh yeah,
community.
I do. I think so.
You think so?
I think it's just like this is. I think some people
Yes.
expected him to. Yes, I do, for sure.
Yes, I do. I agree.
I
And
don't
and
think it
and
was
and
just like
even for going back to, to help young people with play, but more Asians play basketball and support this basketball league. You know, I think that
because it
that's
was like
just
when Bruce Lee made it big, um, the Chinese people, I believe, expected him to do certain things. So he did certain things, like he shot a lot of his movies in Hong Kong and brought a lot of money and resources out there.
Do you
Now
think
I don't think
that and I keep saying the quote unquote because some people don't believe in it, but do you think in the Black community it's just that they're much louder about it and more vocal, and they got
yep,
Black Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and
yep,
they
yep,
want everybody to know, like, you better come back and help us? It's just
yep, yep, yep. Yep, you got it right there on it. You got it right there. Because I believe everybody does it. Even Puerto Ricans, Asians, I believe everybody does it. But I believe it only gets. I believe it gets like. I believe it gets out of pocket and it gets loud and it gets disrespectful and it gets to the point of where it gets to. Um, I believe that only happens in the Black community. I believe that. I believe that for sure. Because like I said, Bruce Lee made a lot of 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 he made a lot of traction for Asians and Chinese in particular.
Mhm.
And they even felt the way about him marrying a white woman. They
Mhm.
felt the way about the white woman. Her people felt the way about her marrying him. So it all happens, but I believe it's louder in the Black community.
I think it's
That
louder. I
particular
think it's louder because we're in close proximity of it. I think it's the same type of energy because even the predators in the Chinese community, the triad, had issues with Bruce Lee, and it's been rumored that they're the ones who had his son murdered. So um, that dynamic, I think is just a factor that we have bottom feeders that exist in all communities, and when those that rise to the top and are successful decide to come back to the community, the bottom feeders start looking around on what they can get out of the situation. It happens in the Italian community. You deal
And
with the mafia,
but
and you
what
got
I believe that Black people, I believe we do it where it's not even warranted. Like in this situation, it wasn't like they're calling him a coon, but it wasn't like he actually did something or illustrated an action of a coon. The man simply moved on to a different position. So this is what I'm saying. Like I think that Black people, I think we have a thing where we'll just throw any words out there at any situation, even if that situation doesn't warrant him being called that. I don't think he should be called a sellout. I don't think he should be called a coon because he came in there with the mind state of helping the HBCUs. He did that.
So
But
really
we
quickly,
I
if
think
you're
there's a
watching,
problem.
hold on a minute. If you're watching, please hit that like button for me. I got like 30 plus people in the room and like 6 likes. So please hit that like button for me. Haram, you were saying?
I think I don't think it's fair to relate Bruce Lee's situation with the situations that we're currently seeing in the Black community. I don't think it's because at the time, in terms of what I mean, when Bruce Lee he was basically Bruce Lee was basically laying the framework. He was laying the groundwork for Asians to come into Hollywood. I mean, he was laying, I mean, it was the origins of minorities, coming into Hollywood and being in certain spaces. There already have been decades and generations of Black people to the point, successful Black people to the point where now we have millionaires, billionaires, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of opportunities for Black people to persevere right now. It's not the situation where I mean, there's only a small number of opportunities and a small number of doors, and those who do actually make it in okay, yeah, it would be nice if they do, go back and help break even more doors. And then after that, it's pretty much up to the community itself.
Exactly.
You're helping them to a particular point. We've been helped. I believe that our ancestors and those before us have helped us already to a particular point where we should be self-sufficient. There has to
Yep.
come a time where it's just like, okay, there's enough opportunities, there's enough money out here. Why aren't you making something shake? And another thing too, it's just like, I mean, this is for all the individuals at the historical Black college. The motherfuckers in college. You sound like, I mean, you're a bunch of, dirty, varsity kids from the Bronx. No, you're not.
Right.
You're grown motherfuckers in college, man. What are you talking about robbing you of an opportunity? You're in college, man. Like,
Great point.
Yeah, but what I was saying, Haram, was I was only saying that, and it does. What I was saying makes absolutely 100% in, because she said Yao Ming. I was just saying, she was saying, do you think that that Yao Ming's people expect for him to do certain things? I said they
okay.
do with him and Bruce Lee. I just said it's not as loud, it's not as hateful, and it's not as vitriolic as when Black people do.
That's
what I was
why
saying.
I like this. Well, we can just for the sake of this streaming argument, I don't mind staying on us, the Black and the brown, right? I don't really, I'm not a fan of diverting, because it seems to be like, things never get resolved or solved. People are like, where's the resolve? It's because we're always diverting to what other.
Well, we didn't divert. I answered it. We're answering the direct question you asked. You asked about Yao Ming.
Just for the sake of this.
Okay, for sure.
We could strike that from the record, because then I know for a fact it's going to go to white people do it too, and Asian people, and I don't want to go there, because the problem is between us, right? So it doesn't matter what No Saint does at the trailer park.
Man, why you gonna know about No Saint catch so many strays?
Because I'm doing absolutely zero.
He has his Kevlar vest, so he's good. No Saint, he's good, but he's been quiet. No Saint, you've been quiet. You taking notes over there? What say you?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening. Just listening to Joanna, and yeah.
Okay, Joanna's back.
No, I mean, I did have a comment, but you already struck it from the record, so I'm gonna leave it alone.
Oh, you want to fight? Go ahead.
No. You struck it, the Yao Ming thing.
Okay.
When you had brought that up, I think one of the reasons he's quiet about it is because the government over there won't let him say a word. The only thing that he'll do is to prop up the government over there. And another thing is, China doesn't want you to know they even have poor people or homeless people on the street, so that wouldn't even be advertised. I really don't. I'm
talking about New York. Chinatown is horrible.
Oh, you think? I don't think that anybody in Chinatown pressured Yao Ming to do anything.
Right.
At all. I don't believe that. But anyway, I'm still listening. I'm taking notes.
Joanna?
Yeah, I just want to say, can you hear me?
Yes.
I want to say to Ron, you caught a stray bullet. I was so triggered by Brother Ish that I did not use the correct name.
It's okay.
I was so triggered. I did not mean you. Usually I'm in lockstep with what you what you say. So that was just a honest mistake using your name, and I want everyone listening to know that I retract the name Haran from my statements. It was for what Brother Ish was speaking to. But and I appreciate you, Jen, for again keeping it on us, because that's what I meant when I say we tend to veer off the topic so much. The conversation in the thumbnail asked the question, are successful Black men obligated? That means owed, something owed, to do. And no, you are not. It's appreciated. It's a blessing. It's honorable in a lot of ways, but also, I like I said on previous panels, you have to help yourself first. You really do. You really do have to help yourself first in all situations before you can even consider helping anyone else. And I'll just say that.
Okay. Can we clarify what is the Black community? Because some people say it exists, some people say it's a myth. What is the Black community?
I will stand here and say that I do acknowledge everyone in the Black community, everyone who is Black. I have Black and brown blood that runs through my veins. I acknowledge everyone who is Black. Yes, there is a sect of us that just cannot get right. You know what I mean? But I still acknowledge their presence nonetheless. Do I believe that I owe them my success? I owe them my life. I owe them my progression. No, I don't. I will, I have no issue helping when I can, but I'm not going to assist anyone who is not willing to get up on their own. I'm not picking anyone up. I'll pick up a child. You know what I mean? I'll grab a teenager. You know what I mean? Children, kids, you know, adolescents, they get a blind because they don't really know. You know, but once you're of a certain age, there are expectations, especially if you're a man. You know, I'm not just sitting out here just grabbing dudes and throwing them on my shoulder and, you know what I mean, putting no grown man on my damn lap or some shit like that. It's not that kind of party. You got to figure it out, champ. You know, now if you're trying to get up, I will extend my hand to help you get up. But you have to make the decision on whether or not you owe it to yourself to get up. And that's it.
You could tie them to the top of the car, Haran. You could tie them to the top of the car. You don't have to put them
I
back.
could do a lot of things.
No, Saint. I'm curious. What do you think about the Black community? When someone tells you, "Hey, no, Saint, do you hear the Black community?" What do you think when you hear the Black community? Who does that entail? Who is it to you? I'm curious to hear from the outside looking in.
Well, okay, from the outside looking in, I mean, when I hear the Black community, a lot of times, I mean, it's kind of something going around on YouTube has really it's refreshed my thinking, because a lot of times the media will portray the Black community as all thinking the same. And as you see clearly on your panel, you got Joanna, who has a totally different opinion, and, you know, not always the same as Ish, not always the same as mine. I mean, but originally when you hear the Black community, I mean, that's all you think, okay, they're all kind of together and almost as a, you know, maybe out of necessity, being in the society, they cling closer together and do help each other out and do, like, you know, so yeah, that's kind of, when I hear that, that's initially what I would think. But as I'm finding out on YouTube, it's just as messed up as the white community. just as many different, you know, opinions and infighting as other communities.
What do you think the biggest problem is in the white community?
Oh my God. The biggest pet peeve of mine is a lack of empathy. That's my personal. I think that's the biggest thing. The fact that, and not obviously not all, not some, or, you know, not all, or whatever, some, not all, but just the fact that they, you know, as a whole, they've had the upper hand in society and the money, that you don't have to be empathetic, or you don't have to, you know, you don't have to, and so I think that's the biggest thing. And the fact that we're fooled into thinking that, you know, most of us are fooled into thinking that somehow we're in the middle class, and somehow that the people in the upper class view us differently, you know, view us the same as them, I guess I should say. I mean, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but
I totally understand. That's a good one, actually.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they think that they're in the club, and they pit us, and, you know, pit us against people. Basically use the minorities as a buffer between themselves and the masses. That's what I think.
I mean, that's resulted in January 6th at the Capitol. All the white trash thought they were, you know what I mean? They were Trump's friends.
Yep, exactly.
Brother Ish, what does that mean to you? The Black community is collective. What is the Black community? If someone says you got to help the Black community, who falls under that umbrella?
I think that it's those that well, I mean, the Black community is very diverse, but I would say that many of us that live in America that are under certain types of conditions, whether not even having to be impoverished, because like I said, I grew up in Baldwin Hills, and I still saw myself being a part of the community of the deeper parts of South Central that dealt with gangbanging, and it felt tied in. Even if at some points we try to separate ourselves and just saying, oh, well, we're not like them over there, we were still affected. Huh?
You was down there in a do-rag. You was a poser down there. You was visiting the
you said a do-rag?
It snuck out of Baldwin Hills and was hanging out South Central with the thugs.
You know what? And let me tell you, I did have my posing moments. I was not running around with a rag or claiming no hood. I was not dumb enough to do that. But you go down there and you're like, yeah, I'm hanging with the homies, and all of a sudden it's like pop, 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 pop. Oh, I'm going back home with mother.
Must be
Father,
nice.
let's go to the Lynx convention this week and go.
I cannot. Continue. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, I mean, but that's a real dynamic, that was the actual reality, But you go to school and you would think, oh, okay, well, I go over here and I hang with these kids, but somewhere somehow you were being touched by the lower rung of our community, and you couldn't escape it, and you couldn't go in there and say, if you got even pulled over, and you were a young person, you were treated just like you were a gang member in LA South Central during my time. So at a certain point it's like, okay, I don't see a difference. I may have perceived myself being different at one point, but when I got pulled over, I was still considered a nigga, regardless of what GPA I had or what school, what private school my parents sent me to. So, that when that reality sets in, then do you start seeing that you are part of this community that we call Black, and that there is a measure of accountability that you're judged by, regardless of where you are. You don't have the option sometimes to separate yourself. So that's what started to shift my perspective.
Okay, Joanna, what's the Black community? Is there a Black community?
No, there is no such thing as a Black community.
Why do you say that?
When I used to watch television, I no longer have one in my home, but when I used to watch television, you would hear them say, the blue collars, the middle class, the 1% or the 5%, whatever it was, recognizing that there are different classes, there's different groups. But when they speak about, so-called Black people, it's the Black community, as if there is no blue collar, no white collar, no middle class, no 1%ers, no 5%ers, or whatever it is. It's a very interesting system of polarities there that it's just never going to be brought to any kind of clarity. But no, I don't think that there's a Black community. What people tend to do is lump us all into one group, even though, like No Saint just admitted to, that he observed We are not a monolith. There's different points of views, different backgrounds, different religions, different sectors. We're just as elite as any other culture. But it's very interesting. Brother Ish was talking about, when he was pulled over by police, he found out that he was an N-word just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I've been pulled over many times. I've been arrested at least 5 times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been treated like an N-word. So what group am I in? Obviously not the black community. Never been shot, never been beaten up. It's almost like some black people think that they're supposed to have a bliss-free life. Nothing's supposed to ever happen to them.
And if it does happen, it's because they black.
And if it does happen, it's because they're black and they're racist. The white man is racist. That's why it happened. Like you're supposed to, and these people believe in God and have faith. And God said you're not going to have a bliss-free life. And Brother Ish knows this. He never promised you a bliss-free life. He never said that. But when you hear people like this speak, and I love you and respect you, Brother Ish. But when I listen to you speak, it's almost as if everything is about your freaking color. Everything's about you being a black man. And it ain't. You're here talking to us today, so obviously everything was okay. Everything's not about your skin color. Again, like I said on another show, sometimes maybe somebody just don't like you. Sometimes some people just don't agree with you. I don't agree with you, but it ain't because you're a black man. And it ain't because I'm a so-called black woman. And for the sake of this conversation, I use this word black. I'm an American. But I know only to be able to speak to you all, I have to lump myself in as a black in order for you to get it. But I'm an American. I'm not black. Black is a status. It's a state of mind. It's a mentality. It's an experience. What if that's not my experience? What if I've never been brutalized? What if I've never been, racially profiled? I mean, but I digress because I said, let's not get off into another conversation. So let me pull it back because I am obviously triggered.
I mean, okay.
But there's no black community, Jen. There's a so-called black mindset that thinks that there is.
I mean, no, listen, Joanna, you had some great points because I do hear over and over and over and over and over again from men, from women, from everybody. Yeah, well, when the cops treat you a certain way, you're going to find out you black like us. Like if I had $1 for every time I had that, seems to be like the official stamp. If the cops treat you bad, then you're part of the club. And to me, it is the most plantation shit I ever did hear. And I've been hearing that for years on social media, for years. When the hurricanes happened in Puerto Rico and Trump was acting like a dick, right? I'm like, he's a dick. That's what Trump does. He's going to be a dick wherever he goes. All over social media. Yeah, and Puerto Ricans found out they black too. And I'm like, why is that such? It's almost like a badge of honor. Like, look, Massachusetts bad too. And when you think about that mentality, it's very, very defeatist. It's very, very poor. It's very, very broken. You're still putting the power in white people, right, to decide who and what you are. Because I've heard that over and over and over. What the cops pull me over, and even what Brother Ish said. And I'm not just talking about Brother Ish because I've been hearing this for years, right? Well, when the cops, I found out I was just like all them dudes in South Central. Like, you're giving so much power to this white person to put you in your place, so to speak. Like, I mean, next thing you're gonna say is he asked me for my papers and I pulled him out. I need to show him my freedom papers. And I gave it to him. That's what it sounds like to me. When the cop asked me for my freedom papers, I realized I was black. And I don't even think people are fucking realizing what they're saying.
They don't
say that.
They don't realize it, Jen. And it sounds, and from a woman's perspective, I shouldn't say a woman's perspective. I am a woman. From my perspective, it sounds so defeatist. It sounds so sad. I've never heard my father speak this way. He's never spoken this way. He's never talked about what some white man did to him or called him or how he was. He didn't speak on these type of things that I hear. I just don't understand it. But I want to make it clear. I call these brother Ishams, but it's not just about him personally. I
What?
use I I u-
I've heard this.
I,
I've heard
I
this for years.
I use these talking points for your audience more so than I'm speaking to Brother Ish, because I want your audience to know that there's a different mindset going on at the same time. There is a duality, to the conversation. It's not just this one mindedness, single-minded conversation that so-called Black people have. If I'm considered Black, I want the people who can hear the sound of my voice to know that we do not all think this way as Brother Ish does. And that's what I'm bringing to the table.
I love that, because I'm telling you, I've been hearing that.
So I would love to.
for
I would
years.
love to respond.
What?
So when you say that there's not a Black community, and you look at the term community, which is a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common, then you're being disingenuous or realistically blind to the fact that there is a collective group of people who are having similar experiences that live under common circumstances. Now, you individually may have a different set of circumstances, like every human being on this planet has their own individual circumstances. But as a community, as a collective group of people living in this country, we do have particular characteristics that are in common, and there are certain common denominators. And so when I'm expressing the point about addressing certain aspects of social injustices that take place in the community, it does not mean that I am empowering the white man. I'm showing how he utilizes his authority. And that's an abusive dynamic. It doesn't mean that I'm not empowered. I believe that, we have the ability and have exercised that ability to control the politics and the law enforcement of our community. I have experienced it. So I'm not a person that sits down here with this concept of being defeated when I'm pointing out negative aspects that exist in this country as a so-called American that had to be given his rights by another group of people. So obviously we're not really as American as we claim to be if our rights had to be given to us. That means that they were given to us, they can also be taken away.
So let me respond to that before Joanna responds. I'm gonna give you a little pushback because I know you do a lot of if, maybe, well, it can be. Our rights could be taken away. Our rights haven't been taken away. They were given us, but they haven't been taken away. So we can't really speak in, well, it could be taken away. So we have to deal with the present, right? Everybody has their rights, all of us, right? The second thing is, when you say a collective of people experiencing the same thing, I lived in Virginia for a couple months. There was an Asian girl. Of course, I was in a Black and Latin community. There was this one Asian girl, sounded like us, talked like us, listened to the music that we listened to, braided her hair like us. Can she say I'm part of the Black community, or can she just say I'm part of that community where no one has enough money to go buy a mansion? So when you say, well, it's just the people living the same experience in the community. If there was a white girl, and there's a lot of white girls in the hood, can they consider themselves part of the Black community just because we're all experiencing buying, pickles at the bodega because we can't go to Nordstrom? You know what I mean? It's like, so you have to be careful when you say, well, the Black community means a collective of people experiencing the same thing, because there are Asians in our communities, there are white people in our community that are impoverished, right? Who don't have a pot to piss in. So I just feel like, and then I'll pass the mic. I feel like with Ish, it's like you got one foot in, I'm more powerful, I'm black, oh my God. And then another foot in, well, the white man tells us we're black, and the white man, I found out I was a nigga like them. When the cop came, it's like you serve two masters. There's a master of the white man is on our back, and we have to keep teaching people that the white man is on our back. And then your other foot is, but we're all knowing and powerful, and we're the elite, and we're the supreme race. And you can't serve, either you're defeated or you the baddest motherfuckers on the planet. But this is why I can't get with religion, because either you are defeatist and praying and hoping something helps you, or you the baddest motherfucker on the planet. I choose baddest motherfucker on the planet. That's what I choose. But that's my choice. I choose baddest motherfucker on the planet. I don't hopscotch into, yeah, but the cops pulled me over, I found out I was a nigga real quick. The cops are not gonna fucking make me feel a fucking thing about me, my complexion, my hair texture, not a fucking thing. I don't care what he does. And like Juana, I've been arrested a couple times, spent a couple weekends, okay, in the fucking bullpen. But then one time did I ever sit there and think, geez, I guess I'm a nigga like the rest of them. Not one fucking time, because I refuse to give a Caucasoid that power. So in my opinion, you can, which one do you want to be? You want to be the baddest motherfuckers on the planet, or you want to be them people that keep pointing out that the white man is evil? I can't,
well, Jen,
I can't live in both sides.
Jen, you know, and if in my communication I'm coming off like that, that's not how I feel. But when I'm telling you that about a historical experience that I had and where I was at that time before I had knowledge of self, yeah, I felt that way. I felt elite at a certain point growing up in the neighborhood that I did before I had knowledge of self. And then when I got knowledge of self, then I started to understanding a different perspective in the world. But I'm able to communicate on both sides to say, okay, this is where I was, and this is where I'm and this is what I aspire to be. So I'm never speaking in a space of that where we are unable to be empowered, or that we're not great, or that we're not, you know, a powerful people. But I'm also pointing out that there are conditions and circumstances that exist that we cannot ignore. So if I'm pointing them out, I'm not saying, oh, the great white man, he's going to do this to us. No, I'm pointing out atrocities, because a lot of us seem to walk around like we're Alice in Wonderland, not believing the reality that we exist under. And that's where the need for separation comes in.
Okay,
that is the purpose of it.
So let me respond. I got your point. So let me respond.
And I would like to respond after you respond.
Absolutely. The first thing is, you can ignore it. You can. That is why all of you got mad at Lil Wayne when he said there ain't no fucking racism where I'm at. Ain't nobody calling me no nigga. I don't see no fucking racism where I'm at. You can't ignore it. You can live your life. You could have stayed up in motherfucking Baldwin Hills, went to college, got a fucking degree, got a good job. You could have been a lawyer, a doctor, a psychiatrist. You could have been anything the fuck you wanted to be. You went to hang out with the fucking thugs, and then you got knowledge of self when the cop pulled you over. I don't understand this knowledge of self. So a kid that stayed in Baldwin Hills, went to college, got his degree, okay, opened up his own fucking law firm. He doesn't have knowledge of self? Knowledge of self means, oh shit, I got cuffed and beaten in the head by a cop. What is this knowledge of self? And to answer your question, yes, you do come off as if you're doing both. You're playing both sides. And I'm like, you cannot serve two masters. Either you're the baddest motherfucker on the block, the baddest thing that's ever walked the earth, or you're the guy that has to remind everybody and yourself of all these atrocities. When again, we are not a monolith. You can't put that on every black person on the planet, because there are some black people that have never experienced a billy club to the side of the head, that have never been arrested, that wear suits all the time. I know some of them personally. So to me, it's a little disingenuous, as you said, to think knowledge of self. What the fuck is knowledge of self? What does that mean exactly? So my attorney doesn't have knowledge of self because he didn't get beaten in the head by a cop and he didn't hang out with the thugs in South Central?
That's not what I'm associating to knowledge of self. So when I say that I got knowledge of self, I'm
just curious before I pass the mic to Juwan.
It's a phrase that was coined by the 5%ers, which means you understand that the black man is the original man. So we're talking about that's acknowledgement of aspirational dialogue. So when you have knowledge of self, you know that you are the original man. You know that you are a powerful people, that you come from greatness, and that you can move towards greatness. So when people say I have knowledge of self, means that I'm aware of that, versus when you don't have knowledge of self and you're quote unquote blind, deaf, and dumb, which means that my beginning started at slavery. You see what I'm saying? So that's when people are referencing that phrase, and it's a common, urban vernacular phrase, knowledge of self. That's what they're referencing.
Right. All right. So I'll pass the mic to Joanna, but I just want to say this to what you just said. It's quite interesting to me that the people that use that vernacular are always at the fucking bottom. I just want to say that the people that use that vernacular, I have knowledge of self, and they wear the dashikis, and I'm not talking about people in Africa. I'm talking about people in America. They wear the little emblem in Africa. I have knowledge of self. Power to the blackity black. They're always at the fucking bottom. And then there are the other Black people that I know, and they went on with their lives and their degrees and their families, and they're living wonderful lives. Some of them are living way better than some of the white people I know. Right. And they're not running around talking about, I got knowledge of self. So it's like, you have to understand that when you say knowledge of self, you specifically, I don't know about a 5%er or another fruit, but you specifically make knowledge of self sound like some real downtrodden shit. I'm just from the outside looking in, you make knowledge of self sound like some downtrodden shit. You literally a few seconds ago married it to your experience with a police officer. Just so you know. You didn't say
I was
let me finish so we don't go back and forth, and I could pass it to Joanna. You said a lot. I'm going to say a lot. We're going to pass the mic, okay? And then you can speak after, I promise. So when you said knowledge of self, you didn't say when I got knowledge of self and became educated and became financially free and became, you understand? If you attach knowledge of self to self-improvement, to wealth, to generational wealth, to getting out the motherfucking hood, then you got my full attention. What's this knowledge of self? Teach me. But if you're going to teach me knowledge of self just so I know I'm Black when the cops come, save it. I'm good. I'd rather be ignorant. Don't give me no knowledge of self. I don't want to know who I am. Okay, let me get this money in this bag and start generational wealth. I don't want no knowledge of self. I don't want to wear. I don't want to wear the African thing on my. I'm good. I don't want to know knowledge of self. Thank you. Thanks, but no thanks. I'll pass. Joanna, I'll pass the mic to you. And then Ish, you can respond, but I just didn't want us to go back and forth. I wanted to pass the mic.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you for what you just said. I almost really don't think I can speak anymore because of what you just laid out. And anyone who doesn't understand what you just laid out, I don't know what else can be said. But I will say this to people who are listening in the audience, because I don't want Brother Ish to feel attacked by me.
No, not at all.
Counteracting anything he says. This is just for you all who are listening. You can only be a victim or you can be victorious. You must choose. You cannot be both. You cannot be both. If you're talking about, the power of, the power of self. And I'm grateful that Brother said this was a phrase used amongst the 5%ers. Making a distinction is paramount. See, I don't use phrases like that, and I'm so-called Black. As Jen said, she doesn't speak this way. This is a certain sect of so-called Black people, and I'm so grateful that he said that out of his own mouth. I don't speak like that because when I was pulled over 2 years ago in the South, in Arkansas at 2:30 a.m. in the morning, one friend driving my truck, me driving my Dodge Charger, and I had a shotgun in the back and a revolver in the back, and the police had me step out of the vehicle and said, "Miss Washington, are these your two weapons? Is this your shotgun? Is this your revolver?" And I said, "Yes, they are." My awareness, my power of self was as an American. And as American, as identifying as an American, knowing my rights as an American, not as a 5%er, not as a part of the original man or the original woman on the planet, but understanding that I have rights as an American got me out of that situation. See, now coming from a Brother Ish-ism, you would think that I would automatically be hauled off to jail for that. I was stopped, but I wasn't, incarcerated for those things. And this is in the South. And so people have these misunderstandings about what is the so-called Black experience. We do not, let me repeat to you all who are listening to the sound of my voice, we do not all have the same experiences as a brother Ishism would suppose or propose. We are not a community in that way. He keeps lumping us all together in the same community. There is no such thing. There is you as an individual. You have an individual right. You have rights, and you act accordingly, and you will be treated as an individual. If I had been taken to jail, then that would have been on me as an individual. That speaks nothing to, this so-called mythical Black community. And I don't want to speak too long because other people have been patiently waiting to get in here. But Jen, I really couldn't add too much to what you said, and I'm grateful that you said it.
All right, thank you, Joanna. Yeah, I was also pulled over at gunpoint in Hunts Point in the South Bronx. I was also pulled over. It happens, but again, at no point when I got cuffed did I think, oh shit, I'm a nigga too. No, no, not happening. Haran, No Saint, you guys have been patient. What say you?
There's a number of points that were solid. I was waiting for one particular point to be made, but nobody really made it.
Let's hear it.
Well, let's just be real with each other. There's a white community, there's an Asian community, there's an Indian community, there's a Latin community. We know that these communities, it would be safe to assume that they're not a monolith. We understand there are different, kinds of people in different kinds of communities. I think the elephant in the room when it comes to the Black community is that, as opposed to, like, say, the white community, the brand itself is associated with success.
Yep.
Okay, it is associated with success. It is associated with power. The Black community is associated with degeneracy, and it's associated with poverty. So I understand why those who A, never may have experienced it, B, wish to remove themselves from it because they do not want to be defined by their humble beginnings, or C, are people who are of a completely different dynamic. I understand why they would not say there is a Black community, because in many ways, to admit that there is a Black community, you'd have to take on the brand of basically defeatism. And it is really some rough shit. It is really some rough shit. So I can sit here and I can understand why people, rightfully so, would not acknowledge that there is a community. Now, I do acknowledge that there is a community, but I can also say that I'm not, I am not of what is generally associated with the community. I can say that there can be two things that are correct. But I can acknowledge that, hey, because that's a big problem that needs to be addressed. The branding of the community needs to be addressed. However, it's not going to be addressed because there's too much money attached in our degeneracy. There's too much money attached to us being impoverished. There's too much money attached to these things. Why? Because the Black dollar is essentially king of consumerism. Okay.
That includes, let me interject really quickly, Haran. That includes Black people who need Black people to think at the bottom.
Yes.
Not just white people. It's for Black people to make Black people think they're at the bottom too.
Yes. So, these are other layers that aren't often spoken about. We don't often speak about our people contributing and helping with the fuck shit. But with that being said, I'm gonna, pass the mic for right now. But one more thing, Jen. You know, let's just admit at the end of the day, when we were younger, the NYP was a bunch of fucking corrupt dickheads. I mean,
They still
they
when we were
you know, what I
younger.
mean, they're well, I live in a different community now, and that's why, you know what I'm saying. I don't live amongst that shit anymore. But when we were younger, I mean, I got stopped for having a cup of sugar. Let's just call it what it is, man. I was walking down the street.
But Haran, I gotta say this too, okay?
What's up?
I got away with a lot of shit because the NYPD. All right.
I mean,
I got away with a lot of shit because the NYPD.
I mean, well, let's look at it like this. And let's just be honest with each other. You're a 5 something or other pretty light skinned girl. You know what I mean? They're not coming for the clubs for you like they're coming for me. I'm a big bald black guy. You know what I mean? Let's just call it what it is. You know what I mean? We could be. You know what I mean? I mean, it is. So when I call it what it is. So when I see the cops coming, I'm like, oh shit. You know what I mean? This can go either way. Let's be calm. You know what I mean? I'm not one to, because I come from where I come from. I understand where I am. I understand what it is. However, where I'm from, okay. Look, listen. I'm from Far Rockaway, Queens. All right. If you know Far Rockaway, Queens was literally everybody else in the Bronx and so on and so forth in areas of Brooklyn were broke. We were poorer than those motherfuckers. Okay, we were poorer than poor people out there. But that doesn't, no, seriously, it is what it is. I mean, we were poorer than poor people. All right, we were like Brownsville poor. You know what I mean, out there. However, that does not define me. That does not define, I don't allow that to define where I'm going as a person. At the end of the day, yeah, I'm just in a shell, man. I'm just in a shell that happens to be, the hue of the shell happens to be of a minority group. That has nothing to do with who I am as a man, as a person, as a human being. You know what I mean? As you know what I mean, where I'm going. I'm not conditioned. I was never conditioned to believe that the shell that I'm trapped in, you know what I mean, should keep me from reaching to my highest potential. That's just not how I operate. And I'll pass the mic.
Okay. And I wanted to say that, things will happen to us melanated people because, white people, some, not all, are racist, but things also happen to us at the hands of Black and brown people as well. And 9 times out of 10, that's who's going to fuck us in the ass. Not a white person. It's going to be a Black or brown person because of proximity, right? And my thing is, anyone who's listening to me, the sound of my voice, like Joanna says, anyone who's listening to me, if you are in any organization, be it a church, be it your family, be it your dad, be it your mama, be it your grandmama, anyone who is constantly feeding you, because whatever you're constantly fed and whatever you constantly consume, right, you're going to believe it. You're going to walk the world like that, right? If anyone is constantly feeding you that you were at the bottom and you were oppressed and there is racism and you're Black and you're brown and this is how white people are and we have to know who we are, that motherfucker is your enemy. Your enemy. I don't care if you're related to them. I don't care if they're the pastor at the church. Anyone who is constantly feeding you that you are less than has an agenda. That's my opinion. Y'all can take that information if you like. You can throw it away or you can use it. But anyone, think about it. Anyone who's constantly telling you you are less than that other group of people and that other group of people is evil and that other group of people is going to fuck it, there's an agenda. Whether it's your mother could be doing that to you. Whether it's an agenda where she doesn't want you to leave because she needs company in her ghetto house or whatever, and she don't want to leave the ghetto and she feels like you're going to grow up and leave the ghetto. People will suppress you. Not just oppressed, but you will be suppressed by people because they feel a certain way or they have an agenda or they can benefit off you feeling like you're less than. You're my fucking enemy. If every time I see you, you're telling me that I'm less than and I should be afraid of this or watch out for that constantly. That's a mind fuck. Okay. Tristan, you're right on time because I'm gonna close soon. I do want to give Brother Ish an opportunity to respond because we said a lot, and I know he has a retort or rebuttal. So the mic is yours, Brother Ish.
For clarity's sake, I was not saying that the police incident gave me knowledge of self. I was not likening the two. I was denoting a time period and a distinction between the two different individuals, Brother Ish and Ishmael, when I was just a little Negro kid growing up in South Central LA. So that was a timeline denoted. It wasn't the instant as it denoted, just for clarity's sake, in our communication. In relationship to saying that we're less than, nor do I believe, nor is it propagated, in my belief system that we are less than. We have traditionally taught that, and I try not to just proselytize my faith up here. I really just try to share a different perspective, and I try not to go into the tropes and the catchphrases and whatsoever, but I just try to give clarity and just a different perspective. I do believe in the greatness of Black people, and I believe that there's a significant responsibility that I, as an individual, have towards the community that I grew up in and the community that I live in and the community that reflect the children that I've produced. So I believe that as a male and as a man in the community, that I have to go into wherever there are challenges or difficulties and make a change or make an effort to change. And that there is not someone who can stop me. So that is my purpose. That is how I feel. I make those sacrifices.
Okay. Well, just so you know, we made the connection because you said when the cop did what he did, then you realized you was a nigga too. You said that. We didn't.
Right. I'm saying at that time, that was the thought process. So I'm denoting that, but that was not likening that to the phrase knowledge of self. That's my point.
Okay. Anybody else? If not, I will close this one now and I will see y'all tomorrow. Tristan, what you got to say? Did you come up to dismiss the class?
Oh, yes. oh, yes. Just put me on the big screen because it's going to be simple and sweet.
Uh-oh. Wait, before you do that, Tristan, does anyone else have anything to say? I'm like Lucy Lee with the sword right now. Anybody have any parting words on this particular topic? I thought this was really bomb. I thought the perspectives were great.
I will say one thing.
Please.
I will say one thing. I don't think that the community there's a sect of the community that is prepared to let go of the trauma that currently defines it. Reason being that they've been so conditioned and handed down ideas of trauma and degeneracy, it has become a part of their identity. So I do feel that to remove it would be, in their mind, would be asking for them to lose a part of themselves.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
And I humbly believe that. I humbly believe that cancer of defeatism.
I agree.
Is etched so deep in the DNA of our people currently.
Yep.
That to remove it again would feel as if they are losing a part of themselves. It might put them in shock.
I honestly think that's one of the biggest issues the quote unquote Black community has, is like that is a big part of the identity. So if you're not an oppressed Black American, what are you? Right? If you
like for instance,
you're not, and I'll say this: if you're not oppressed, you're not Black. I had a gentleman on another panel the other night who said, where are you from? As if I'm not born in America. I'm as if I wasn't raised in the freaking South. I'm not even Black because I don't believe I'm oppressed.
That's what
look,
they said.
I was on a panel once, and I was it was mostly brothers, Black brothers, and I was discussing the ills of the community and how we could turn things around and shift things around. And all of them were very quiet, and they all said one thing: they are just concerned about white supremacy, essentially the boogeyman. And I'm like, this motherfucker's got you like that. You know what I mean? I mean, like it was really baffling to watch. And in some context, in that moment, I understood why there are a number of black women that have given up on black men. Because for you to believe that you cannot progress in life, you refuse to even get up because there's a monster under the bed, shows that you're not ready, you're not prepared to lead, you're not even prepared to be a man.
Thank you, Haran. Thank you for saying that, because my
lead
father,
anyone.
Haran, my father's 75 years old. He never speaks of white supremacy. I never heard the word until I went to college. He never spoke
Right.
of racism. He never spoke of any fear of anything. It's just baffling to me that there are people on the planet walking around, men and women. I'm not just going to, put it all on the men, but walking around even younger than me, speaking of this white supremacy boogeyman thing. Thank you for saying that.
Because it keeps being taught over and over and over again. It keeps being taught. The boogeyman
Again,
it keeps being taught.
Again, in Jamaica, in West Indian culture, we're not taught of the white boogeyman.
Right.
They don't teach us that shit. You know what I mean? Tristan can attest to that. They don't teach us about no white boogeyman. Like, it's you're taught that the world is player versus player, and you go out there and you get it. And if you can't get it, you're a fucking loser. You know what I mean? And you have
Pretty
no
much,
one.
my grandmother called me an idiot. That's what she said. She says, "Reason why you didn't pass because you're stupid." That's what she was saying.
And
It was that simple and sweet. I'm like, "No, grandma, I can do it." She was like, "I don't know." She said, "If you could, you would pass it the first time, stupid." I'm like, "Okay, all right, now I'm gonna pass it next time. Watch."
yo, you know what? You know what's really fucked up about what he just said? West Indian culture is very competitive, and they will put kids against each other. They will pit siblings against each other, and if your siblings are doing better than you, and you're in your 30s and 40s, when you come home, they will remind you that your
Yep.
siblings are doing better than you, and you suck. They'll. Yeah, there is a very undisclosed truism in West Indian culture. Our love for you is completely contingent on how successful you are as a human being. That might sound fucked up, but it's a pretty good initiative to actually go out there and kick ass. You know what I mean? Depending on how, you look at it. Now, all cultures have some fucked up shit going on. But this is one of the reasons why you got a lot of West Indians who go out there and they go and kick ass because they condition you from the beginning to do that shit. Now, from what I've seen and I've witnessed with American blacks, sadly, and I mean, I mean this so wholeheartedly. Um, a lot of them have been conditioned from day one, and they've accepted this that everyone that does not look like you is better than you. They've been beaten into docility. They've accepted it. I mean, there's a lot of identity issues going on in the black community. And when you have identity issues, you're susceptible to getting involved in cults. You're susceptible to 1 minute you're thinking you're a fucking Native American, the next minute you're thinking you're Hebrew Israelite. Next thing, motherfuckers are telling you you're from Wakanda. Like, I mean, there's no foundation.
At
There's
all.
no
Like
foundation.
every 2 or 3 years, there's a new acronym. I'm like, I don't know how
Yeah, what I mean, there's no foundation, and there has to be a foundation, and the foundation comes from you actually sitting down, and saying, "Who are you?" You know what I mean? Who are you? And don't allow some circumstance that, at the end of the day, look, man, what happened 5 years or 500 years? This might really sound fucked up. This might really sound fucked up, but I'm gonna say this shit right here on this panel. What happened 500 years ago? Ain't got shit to do with you.
No, I
You
agree.
wasn't there. You weren't there. You was in there getting your ass
Thank you,
beat. Ain't
Haran.
nobody drag you. Ain't nobody drag you from no chains and beat
Thank
you
you,
senseless
Haran.
and so on and so forth. So you should get a check because your great granddaddy got his ass beat or he was castrated in front of somebody and whatever or broken and whatever it is. Nah, this is not to say the occurrence wasn't fucked up. I'm not saying that at all. But to define your entire existence on a time in history that you were not here to experience, if you do not see the if you do not see how that is going to like deter you from being who you are, then I really have nothing for you, and that's the end.
So I would like to respond to that and just say this: we are a culmination of our experiences and experiences of our predecessors. So we do have experiences that we can lift ourselves up from. Absolutely, many people have done it and are examples of it. But we cannot negate that there has been trauma that has been passed on generationally upon generation. And I'll close on this point in relationship to your question that set off this whole thing. Are successful black men and or women, well, I'll include them in there, obligated to help the black community? I would say those of us who are wealthy or rich should help set up independent businesses, which our people need, which could add wealth to our community. With cooperation, our own business people could actually help lower prices and produce and provide implement employment for the multitude of our unemployed people. I saw an example of this in Chicago. There was a sister in the nation who has two restaurants that she has opened up, and she has hired a lot of the young girls in the community and sets a very high standard for their conduct and behavior. And they come from different walks of life. Not all of them are members of the nation. A few of them are, and a few of them aren't. And she sets a different tone in how they handle themselves professionally. And I thought it was a great example of what can be done and should be done in our community.
Anybody else?
I got to go.
All right. Give us something, Tristan, so we could close, por favor.
You know what? Since we're talking about prominent black people raising their standards in the community, and whether they should give back or not, I have a piece of advice my father gave me 5 minutes ago.
Uh-oh.
Mind your business. Mind your business. That has nothing to do with you. That is it. I love you all. Class dismissed.
Thank you, Tristan. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. This was a fucking good one. Lots of great points. I do believe that the bullshit can end with us. Listen, I know people like, we don't all have the same opinions. Fuck all that. I like people with like minds. I think we're the ones that are going to push our community, quote unquote communities, whatever you want to call it, forward. The people that are not defeatists, the people that don't care about the fucking white boogeyman under the bed. I know I'm not raising me and mine like that. They're not going to be out in the world. Oh, the white man going to suppress me because my last name, I'm not. We're the ones that could change that generationally. Of course, we're going to be fighting against the people that want to keep reminding them and theirs that, they were slaves and we got to pass down and traumatic and blah, blah. We got to let them know we're fighting against that. But you know what I mean? Less is more. There's plenty of us. Fuck all that. I say move forward. Don't let nobody define you by your melanin, your hair texture, when the cops pulled you over, what the cop done said. Stop letting motherfuckers do that to you. And anyone who is telling you that that shit is okay is your enemy, not your friend. All right. So with that said, guys, I am out. Thank you so much. Let's do this again mañana. I love you all. This was really good. This was very grown and sexy. I like these kind of conversations. Thank you for all your opinions. And if there's nothing else, I'm out. Because Tristan
Good night,
dismissed.
folks.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, guys. Mwah, mwah. All right, guys, if you're still here, please hit that like and subscribe if you like this show. There's always something different every single day. And on Saturdays, we do sexy Saturdays where we have no serious conversations except if it's fucking, sucking, seduction. This Saturday, we're going to be talking about seduction. But every Saturday is going to be a sexy Saturday. It's going to be light. My shows are serious in the beginning of the week. We get lighter as we get towards the weekend. So I hope you enjoyed. Please leave me a comment down in the comments. That helps me in the algorithm. Doesn't have to be a whole sentence. It could be a happy face, a thumbs up, or a sad face, whatever it is you're thinking. Share these conversations. I'm not even the type to be like, share this video, because I know motherfuckers don't share videos. So share this conversation, enlighten other people. Let me know what you thought. So please hit that like for me on your way out the door, and that subscribe. Hey, new subbies, welcome. All right, guys, have a great night. And come back tomorrow. I have something else for you. Leave Deion Sanders alone. Damn it. All right, guys. Get your own.